So this is an all-seated class with a focus on circulation, and we'll do some deep stretching as well. To get started, you can find a seat on a bolster or a cushion. Place your hands in your lap. You can close your eyes or look at the floor in front of you. And start to notice your breath. So start by noticing the breath that's already there. And see if you can deepen your breath, extending your long exhales. We're going to use the breath to move, so place your left hand to the floor, lift your right arm up and over. And then inhale to come through center and exhale to find the opposite side. Inhale coming up and exhale over. So you may want to move faster or slower than me. That's perfectly fine. You know what your body needs. We're really just trying to warm up the spine and the sides of the body, especially from the hip to the fingertips, so that entire side, increasing circulation down to the torso. Let's reach up and over to the left side now. So lifting up through your right arm, left hand planted. You can come up a bit and go deeper into the stretch. Now take a breath in, come up through center. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side, so staying in the pose and sustaining through breath. Take a breath in, come up a bit, and then exhale to go in deeper. You may need to go in deeper still, maybe even moving your right arm away from the torso. And then take a breath in and stretch both arms up towards the ceiling. You can also look up, lift your chin, your nose, your ears. Extend all 10 fingertips up to the ceiling. Exhale to draw your hands into heart center. Sun breath. Take a breath in, expand your arms out to the side. Move slowly as you reach your arms up overhead. Reach up through the entire torso before bringing your hands back into heart center. Let's go again. Take a breath in and extend your arms out to the sides, reaching all the way up to the ceiling. And then exhale to draw hands into heart center. This time resting your hands in Anjali Mudra. So all fingertips are touching. You can shift your wrists side to side to get a little mobility in the wrists. And then for even more mobility, we're going to interlace the fingers and make some circles in the wrists. Make sure you go in both directions. You can press your palms out. Stretch the hand open. Get blood circulating all the way down to the fingertips, all the way down to the palm of the hand, and shake it off. Let's let the legs out in front with the knees pointed up, feet onto the floor. And I like to move my buttocks to the side so I can really sit on my sitting bones. I'm sort of pressing myself forward. I have 2 bolsters today, just for a little extra lift. So the next motion we're going to do is a cat-cow with a hip opening. So you want to be able to see your feet. That's why I'm taking off my socks. So I can roll onto the pinky toe edge of my feet and sort of flare my big toe back. Hold on to the knees, lift the chest. This is our cow pose. Lift up through the eyes, the chin. And then exhale to pull the knees together. You're rolling onto the big toe edge of the feet. Tuck the chin and round your back as much as possible. Now we're going to flow between the two. So inhale to come up, open the hips, open the chest. Exhale, lead with your belly button as you roll back, tucking the chin, rounding your back. Inhale, coming up and through. And exhale to make your way back. So like I said in the movement before this, you may want to go faster or even slower than me. Yoga's about finding our own pace, our own rhythm, and discovering what the body needs to heal itself. At the top, you can do a little shoulder wiggle from left to right, trying to free up some space in the upper torso around the rib cage, where it can be kind of stiff and stuck because we have so many bones there. Let your legs out in front and start to shake off your feet. So I'm going to show you this from the side so you can see my back. It's important that when we're sitting with the legs out, that the back is still tall. So if you need to put your hands back behind to help kind of prop your posture, you can. Make some circles with the feet. So now we're sending circulation all the way down the legs to the toes. Then do nice slow circles, change directions when you're ready. I like to wiggle my toes as I do my circles. Now find a yoga strap. You're going to hook the yoga strap around the feet. So it's okay to have a bend in your knees when you do the seated forward fold. And you might have to put even more of a bend to get the strap into place. So the movement that we just did, the cat-cow, we're going to do the same thing here. So get a good grip on the strap, enough that you can sit up tall just using the length of the strap to keep that length. Then shrug your shoulders up by your ears, exhale and round your upper back. Pull your inner thighs together. Taking a breath in, start to lift your chin, keep your arms where they are, but pull your elbows back. Lift your chest. So you might feel like you're doing a big extension, but it will probably just look flat. You can move in and out of the pose at your own rhythm, your own pace. Now let's wind the hands down the strap. Start to make your way forward, keeping length in your spine. So keep your head lifted, chin up. You can start to pull yourself down over your legs. So as I said earlier, it's okay to keep a bend in the knees. We're looking for length in the low back. So sometimes having the knees bent actually helps us to make more length in the low back. Once you feel the stretch in the back and behind the legs, you can bow the head and stay here and breathe. So as we stay down, the mind's attention is on the back of the legs. You can make your way up, undo the strap, and set it over to the side. You can wiggle out the legs, do any sort of movement that would help you loosen up from that stretch. And place your hands behind you. So I like to turn my fingertips to the side, squeeze your thighs tightly together, bend your elbows, and then as you straighten your arms, lift your chin. So second variation, you could lift your hips, make sure the weight is in the heels. I keep my chin tucked because I find it makes me dizzy, but if you feel inclined to reach your head back, as I'm showing now, this is really good for our hormonal health and the health of the thyroid as we send circulation to that place in the throat. All right, so we'll come back around to the front. You can cross your legs. Take your hands to your thighs and start to circle your torso slowly. So if you want to include the head, you can. I like to slink and roll my head around as I do my circles. If you have a sore or stiff neck, you can just do this with your shoulders and keep your head straight up. Circle in the opposite direction. Make your way up to center. Shrug your shoulders up and back. Find your tall seat. Start to walk your body forward, bowing over your legs. Take your time to come down. And in this fold, we can really round in the upper back. So tuck your chin towards your chest. Your neck is not doing any work here. You can be propped up on your hands or lowering down to the forearms, depending how open you feel in the back. You want to breathe circulation down your back, so breathing from your tailbone to the crown of the head. Maybe wag your head side to side if your neck is feeling okay. Then make your way slowly back up. All the way up, arms to the ceiling. Stretch up. And then bend your elbows, make a scarecrow shape or a goalpost. You really want to stretch from elbow to elbow. Isolate your midsection. We're going to twist over to the left side, trying to keep the upper body intact. Come through center and exhale, twist over towards your right side. You notice how my elbows stay in line with my body the entire time. My hands are open, fingers engaged. So this is really good for our core as we isolate and wring out the midsection. Now we're going to twist. So next time you go over to the left, you can put your right hand down to the left knee. Inhale to sit up tall and straight, and then exhale to twist yourself towards the back. So every breath in, you want to sit up a little taller. Every exhale, twisting deeper into the pose. Come back around, bring your arms up to the horizon, and then back into that goalpost shape. So we'll go into the right side the same way, so twisting towards your right. Then you can extend your left hand and take a hold of your knee. Once you have your hands placed, you can inhale, sit up tall and straight, and exhale, start your twist towards the back. Your mind's focus is on your shoulders here, so using your shoulders to drive the twist. And when we twist, there's a bit of tension in the abdomen, like we're wringing out a cloth. The magic happens when we release, and it'll increase the circulation to the abdomen, the obliques, and the low back. So you can start to unravel back to the center. Take a hold of your right arm, stretch it over to the left side, rounding the upper back. And then switch sides. Take a hold of your left wrist, tug it over towards the right. Stretch the upper back. Come back up to center. We're going to let the legs out again, keeping the blood circulating from head to toe, even though it's a seated practice. Start with your shin blocks. So move your knees side to side. It's a bit different on the bolster, but we're trying to do the same idea of lowering both knees as close to the floor as we can. You can add a lift of the chest, so pushing into your hands. To get a bit of a stretch happening in the shoulders. And then the next time your knees are pointed to the left, try to get your right knee down in the middle. You might have to walk your left heel in towards your right thigh to make a perfect pinwheel. Take a hold of your left knee. You're going to tug on the knee and lean back. And then rock forward by pressing that thigh down. So you can move at your own pace, rocking up and back. And as you do this, notice how your hips feel. The next time you go forward, try to walk your hands down. So it helps sometimes if we have a cushion or blocks. If you can get your wrists or fingertips to the ground, that's enough to fold into the pose. Bow the head. Maybe even walk yourself out a little further. If you're feeling super open today, you can go down onto your forearms. Just feeling heavy in the pose, letting the weight of the head bring you down. So another way I like to make this pose deeper is by simply moving my right leg back, so trying to straighten it out a little more. I stay sitting on my cushion and then bring your hands back in place to fold over the left hip. So try it. If you don't like it, go back to the first one. But same idea, we're focusing on stretching and increasing the blood flow to the left hip and buttocks. To come out, roll yourself up out of the pose. You can come all the way back to center. we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So you can start into your shin blocks again, moving your knees side to side just to loosen up. Got stuck in my sweater. And then this time lowering the knees over to the right side. Take both of your hands around your right knee and you can rock yourself forward and back. You might notice the stretch already as you rock yourself forward and back. And this can help you decide how deep you need to go or you should go today. The next time you come down, place your hands to the floor or to another cushion, maybe a yoga block. Bow your head over. So we're looking for a stretch in the right hip here as we fold over the thigh. Different ways to deepen in the pose. You could walk your hands out, even rest on your forearms. And if you did it last time, we're gonna do it here again. You can straighten out your left leg. Straighten's a bit of an exaggeration. We're just extending it. Your hips will stay open to the front and the right. But it just allows you to get a little deeper into that right hip, or maybe bring your body down closer to the floor. The upper back is rounded, the head is heavy. And then roll yourself up to the top. Bring your legs back in. And extend your legs out to a wide straddle. So in the straddle, your knees can be bent. It helps especially at the beginning to bend the knees and flex the feet. Maybe wiggle your hips up and down or forward and back. Try to sit up nice and tall. So I take one hand to the front, one hand to the back, and scooch my hips back so that my butt is behind me. I can sit up tall and straight. Sit up so tall that you can reach your arms up. So this engages the core. It increases circulation from fingertips to the groin. The more you flex your feet and spread your fingertips, the more you can reach up and feel that opening in the front of the body. Now bring your arms onto the horizon. We're going to reach over towards the left side first, and then reach out of the waist over towards your right side. You can move with me, you can move faster or slower, whatever you need in your practice today. All right, find your strap. We're going to take a fold first down the left side. So you gotta bend your left knee quite a bit to lasso the strap around the ball of the foot, and then extend your leg out. You don't have to extend it completely straight, but it's heading towards straight. Sit up tall, lean back. Then as you exhale, you can reach forward, start walking your hands down the strap. So I know it's hard to see my legs. I always tend to camouflage into my mat, but we're starting with the right foot flexed. So both legs are active, folding over. And then to increase the stretch behind the left leg, what I like to do is point my right toes. So you can sort of push the energy out to the right side by pointing your right toes. Then that can help you to increase the flexing in the left leg. Pull in the abdomen on the left side so you can get yourself up and over your left leg, bowing the head. Let's take a breath in, come up. We're gonna switch over to the other side. So we start with both legs flexing. Tuck your right leg in so you can lasso the strap around the ball of the foot. And then as you extend the leg out, sit up nice and tall. Exhale to walk with length in your back all the way over the right side. You'll get to a place that you can bow your head. And if you did it last time, point your left toes. So in the Yoga Sutras, they say, may the posture be sweet and steady. So in every pose we move through, you want to find that. You feel strong, you feel steady, but there's also a sweetness. So that means we're never stretching too far that it's painful. It should always feel kind of good in the joints, especially with that release. We're not quite done yet here, so wiggle out the legs if you need to. If you need to take a break from the straddle, you can pause and take a break. If not, we're going to reflex the feet. So knees and toes need to be pointed up towards the ceiling. Take a big breath in and lengthen your head. Keep your head up as you move down. So head up, chin up. Start to walk yourself forward. Toes stay pointing up. You're trying to lift your waist up out of the pelvis as you walk over towards the left side. And then it's like you're drawing a big arc, like a rainbow, through the center, over towards your right side. So stay low, move side to side, hand over hand. And to go with what I've been saying in the rest of the class, if you need to move faster than me or slower than me, be my guest. Yoga is a really personal practice, so it's like your personal workshop to tune up your body. So you know what you need. You know when you've gone too far. And always try to work within your range of comfort. So of course we're challenging ourselves, but never to the point of pain or sharpness. The stretches should feel warm and opening. And hang out in the center with the head bowed over. Try to stay long. I know you can't see my back from here, but try to stay long in the low back. And the rounding happens from the ribs to the crown of the head. Feet stay flexed. Knees pointed to the ceiling. My legs are straight, but if you need to have a bend in your knees, that's perfectly acceptable. And sometimes it can actually produce a more genuine stretch in the low back. You can wiggle your head side to side while you stay folded over. Then make your way up, breathing in as you come up. And here's our relief. Here's the sweetness. Ooh, it hurts, but it feels good at the same time. Bring the legs in. You can hug your arms around your knees. Give yourself a tight squeeze. Like a comforting hug that you give to a family member or a friend that you love. But this one's for your knees. You can lift your head and then open up your knees. Bring your feet together. So the knees could be high up. You're going to pulse your knees. You can wiggle your head and your torso, trying to loosen up in the groin. This is our butterfly pose, or Baddha Konasana. Hold your feet with your left hand and reach your right arm up nice and tall. Reach up out of the right waist. Now you're going to take your right hand and place it to the inside of your right thigh. Press away and send your head over to the left side. Now release, come to center. We'll do the same thing with the left side. So flutter your knees to reset. And then take a hold of your feet with your right hand and reach your left arm up towards the ceiling. Stretching up out of the waist. And then go ahead and exhale. Place your hand down onto your left thigh. Press your shoulders and your head over towards the right side. Release to center. Bring your shoulders square to the short edge of the mat. Hands holding the feet. You're going to try to fold forward with a bit of a rounding in the back. So the knees might be up. Your elbows are going to try to rest into the crook of the knee to help round the body down, tucking the chin. Trying to point the crown of the head down to the floor or down to the feet. So I really rely on my elbows touching my thighs in this pose. But if it feels better for you to have your hands extended out in front, always trying to find your best version of the posture. So that goes with how you're feeling and not necessarily how it looks. Start to come up, sit up tall, tug on your feet, and then we'll release the legs out. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. We'll keep the legs tucked in. We're doing a second variation of the butterfly. So keeping your legs tucked in, you want to lengthen your spine. I'm showing you from the side so you can see my back for this one. So unlike the first one where we rounded the back and rested the elbows in the crook of the knee, this one we're keeping the spine long. So we don't have to go that far to feel the stretch. Now we'll extend the legs. Wiggle your feet. Point your toes, flex the other, and then switch, flex and point. Flex and point. Our feet are so important, but sometimes in yoga we forget to give them a little extra attention. All right. I'm going to come back facing the short edge of my mat, heading into Janu Shirshasana. So that's a one leg forward fold. Tuck in your left side first, making a footprint on the inside of the left leg. Find your strap. So your right leg might have a bend in the knee. That's fine. What's important is that the knee is pointed to the ceiling and the toes are pointed to the ceiling. So if we have naturally turned out hips or naturally turned in hips, we're correcting that by bringing the leg parallel, shoulders square to the foot, and then start your journey down, keeping length in the low back. So you're hinging from the hips, folding over. Once you feel that the stretch is adequate in the back of the right leg, you can bow your head, slump your shoulders, maybe even take a few breaths in the nose and out the mouth. And the entire time you stay in the pose, your right leg is active. So you're flaring your toes back, pressing through your heel. Take a breath in and come up, tug on the strap. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides. So extend your left leg out, tuck the right leg in. And then hook the strap around your left foot. Try to get it onto the ball of the foot so there's a little more energy or tension there than when it's in the sole of the foot. And then keeping length in the low back, start to come down. So I gather my elbows in towards my torso to come down. That way I ensure that I'm long in the low back. And sometimes it helps to pull in the abdomen, so pull in the tummy, especially over the left side. Like last time, if you'd like to take some breaths in the nose and out the mouth. Breathing out the mouth helps to release any excessive heat in the body. So alternately, if you're cold in your home, I know winter is a difficult season, you can breathe in and out just through the nose, and that'll keep your body warm. All right, let's start to roll back up to the top, tug on the strap, and then release the strap over to the side. All right. You can move your bolster I'm moving my bolster to show you from the side, but you may want to adjust your bolster regardless, just so you have a nice tall seat on the bolster. We're doing a seated pigeon. So I'm bringing my left foot up onto my right knee first, and then I can hold my right knee to intensify the stretch and flex my right foot. Alternately, You could put your hands back behind you with your fingers pointing towards the back. I like this variation because I can walk back into my hands, get a bit of stretch in my wrists and shoulders, puff my chest up, and you're leading your chest towards your shin bone. You should feel the stretch in your left glute, your left buttocks. And you can lift the head, so this is good for the thyroid health, to make a bit of extension in the front of the neck. And then bring yourself back to center. Undo the leg. We're gonna go from this into a half turtle pose. In yoga, turtle is Kurmasana, or tortoise pose. So you're going to keep your right knee bent with your knee pointed up, and make sure there's enough space between your foot and your left thigh to fit 2 hands, maybe even more. Get your strap and make space between your torso and your right thigh, because you want your right thigh to really push against your side body, push against your torso. This is excellent for digestion. Hook the strap around the left foot. You can gather it in and start to fold yourself down. So you can't see my back, but I am a little more rounded in this fold than I've been in the other folds. That's simply because my right leg is lifted, so it just doesn't allow me the space to lengthen. But to keep the posture safe, I want to engage my right leg towards my torso, towards my arm even, to bring myself down over the left side. And then take a breath in and come up. Maybe take a quick tug on the strap on the left foot. We're going to do the same sequence on the other side. So now bending the left leg, plant the foot onto the floor. Lift your right foot up into a seated pigeon. So you can do whatever you chose for the last side. If you pulled your left leg in, the standing leg, you can do the same thing again here. Sitting up nice and tall in the low back, but folding over in the chest. Or if you did it last time, fingers point to the back. Place your hands back behind you, adding that additional stretch in the shoulders and the wrists. And then sort of puffing the chest, lifting the sternum towards the right shin. Keeping the right foot active. Let's release and come into that half tortoise pose. So bring the left leg out straight or semi-straight, and remember 2-hand distance between the left leg and the right leg. Enough that you can get your torso down on the inside of the left. So that's really important. That's where the magic happens in this tortoise pose, is the thigh pressing against the side body. And that press, that squeezing, helps to increase circulation to our organs. I'll shift to the side so you can see my back in this one. So as I said on the other side, it's more difficult with the leg up to keep the length in the low back. Of course, we're still trying for it, but if you feel like your back is rounding more in the lumbar spine, that's perfectly normal. All right, to come up, tug on the strap, and then release. You're going to put your hands behind you, legs tight together. Just sway your hips side to side so you're leaning the weight into the right hip and then over to the left. You can't see my feet from here, but my toes are really pointed. Big toes touching together. So I can get some opening in my front body. We did a lot of folding forward today, and now's our chance to open up to the side and open up in the front. So I'm going to come right off the bolsters this time and sit as close to the bolster as I can. So I'm doing this with my legs crossed. You can obviously do it with your legs extended out, whatever feels comfortable. You're going to settle your upper back onto the bolster and then reach your arms up overhead. So this is almost like a wheel pose or a fish pose. We're opening up the front of the body, opening up the chest. If you had your feet on the floor, your knees pointed up, you can sway the knees side to side. This pose too is good for our circulation and good for our thyroid health as we open the armpits and the throat area. We're stimulating the lymph system, which helps to keep us healthy, and it helps balance our hormones. You can adjust the arms in any way that feels personal to you. Maybe taking them out to the sides or keeping them up overhead. Just take a moment for your back. Now roll off the bolster and bring your bolster out to the side. We're gonna use it eventually for our twist, but not quite yet. We're starting with a clamshell, so the heels will touch. You're laying on your side, upper body's completely relaxed. You want to open up your hips almost like you're doing the butterfly pose, but on your side. And it's only the top leg moving. So this is a small movement. Sometimes it doesn't feel, necessarily difficult or stretching. But it's excellent for the hip mobility and core. So it helps us isolate that upper side of the abdomen, the left side, and then isolate the hip. Now bring your knees together and then your feet together. So it's kind of a funky clam. Knees touch, feet touch. When your knees touch, your foot is lifting. So if you didn't feel that this was improving your hip mobility, you might feel it a little more now with the funky clam. You can go fast or slow, and then extend your foot up to the ceiling, point your toe, feel the stretch in your groin. Maybe try to lift the leg up closer to the torso, pulse it a few times, and then go ahead and bring it in. Move your bolster to the front of your torso. Use your arm to bring your left leg up and onto that bolster. I'm going to roll my shoulder down so that I can really get onto the back of my right shoulder. Then my left arm is going to make an arc. My eyes are following my fingertips. Unfortunately, I have a wall in the way, kind of impedes with my stretch, but hopefully you don't, and you can really open your chest, reach your arm all the way back without bending the elbow. I'm only bending the elbow because otherwise I'll hit the wall. And then on your fifth one, you're going to reach your arm over and stay in the pose. And so what's important is that the left knee stays connecting to the bolster. So that twist is happening through the midsection of the body, and the chest is really opening. So why would we want to increase circulation in the chest and the upper body? It's really good for so many things when we increase circulation to the face. It helps keeping the skin look youthful. As I mentioned before, the hormones. But it also helps with our breathing. So the more blood circulating and movement we have in the chest and the throat, the easier it is to take those full deep breaths. Let's set up for the other side. So remember, we start with the clamshells. You can simply roll to your other side or come around like I did. Have your heels glued together and open and close the knee. When you open, you're trying to open as wide as you can. Now let's switch. So knee to knee, foot to foot, the crazy clam. Knee to knee and foot to foot. So we're really working the inner and outer rotation of the hip. Now you can kick your foot up towards the ceiling. Try to make it straight. Sometimes one side feels tighter than the other. Point your toes and maybe try to pulse up and towards your torso. And then following the same sequence as last time, move your bolster up in front of your torso and bring your leg up over to the torso. So I like to sleep like this. It's sort of a half frog pose with the knee up. Then roll your shoulders so they're more touching the floor. You can start into your open book. So this time it's the right arm opening and closing with your breath. It's an exhale to close and an inhale to open. The next time you bring your arm back, you can leave it open, trying to get your shoulders down to the floor, opening the chest. Breathing from fingertip to fingertip. Close up the arm. And now we're going to roll onto the back. So move your bolster to the side just for now. going to use 2 bolsters again. I find that with time my bolsters have gotten squishier, so 2 kind of does the trick. You can put them under your low back. So we're in a bridge pose, or Setu Bandhasana. You can stretch your arms overhead, and if you'd like to, you can extend your legs out. So Setu Bandhasana, even though it's a mild inversion, it's an inversion, which means that the heart is above the head. So this is good for our circulation. It's good for blood pressure to have the heart slightly elevated. So we'll stay in for a bit longer just to notice the effects of the inversion. And then when you're ready, tuck your legs back in, press your heels to the floor, lift the hips to slide the bolster out, same way we got in. And then move the bolster out of the way so you won't need it for the next 2. Take your strap. So this is another inversion. So you may have done this in a class before. It's called Viparani Karani. The feet are going to be elevated now above the body. So I find for me it helps to have a bit of a bend in the knees, but keep my feet flexed. And then it's important that the arms are not tugging. They're sort of just a placeholder to keep the legs up. So try to relax in the shoulder girdle. Keep the grip soft. And if you need to take even more of a bend to the knees, that's welcomed. So we're going to slide from here to happy baby pose. You can bend your knees. Try to keep your low back glued to the floor, feet flexing, and open up your knees. If you think back to the tortoise pose where our thighs were on either side of the torso, sort of pressing on the organs or pressing on the abdomen, that's what we're looking for here. Now, I don't do it in the video, but you're welcome to try this at home. Keep one leg bent and straighten the other leg by sliding it down the strap. And then do the other side. Just to get the last little bit of stretch in the groin and the hips before we settle. Take your legs both back up one more time into Viparani Karani. This time maybe you can have your legs a little straighter, that one last press, that one last effort. And then you can go ahead and bend your knees. First, tuck yourself into a ball. Lift your head. Give yourself a squish. You've done so well. And then settle into your variation of Savasana. So the Savasana I usually take is with my feet wide and my knees tented together. It gives me the low back support that I need. I like to place my hands on my abdomen so that I remember to focus on my deep breathing. Breathing all the way to the pit of the stomach and letting it out slowly. So you can find a different variation of Savasana, or you can stay here and focus on your breath. I'm going to leave you here so you can stay as long as you need in Savasana. It's your personal home practice. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. The light inside of me honors the light inside of you. Namaste.